Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. Now that my 2 informative videos are done for the day, it's time to talk about current events in the online fitness community. And not only did someone send me this, I've seen a lot of other people talking about it, but apparently Calum Moger, or is it Moger? I'm really not sure. Now a lot of times people go like, how come you get people's names wrong? You have a funny name too. Well, I have a last name Blaha because it's Czech. I'm technically Slavic. Alright, and it's not that hard to get right. It's got 5 letters in it, guys. And again, so does Moger. Now, some people are going to be like, I don't believe that you're actually Slavic. Well, here's the proof, guys. I got a bottle of vodka, and I squat in Adidas. Alright? You don't need any more proof than that. And I squat ass to grass in Adidas. It's as Slavic as it gets. Let me put on my +5 out of weaponsmithing. Work on skilling up my crafting a little bit, and let's talk about Calum and this absurd bicep tear. Here's the thing, guys. I'm going to get to in a second of why he should have known the risk of a bicep tear from one of them. Somebody getting their bicep tore was extremely high on this. Extremely high. Not just one of those freak accidents, oh, there's a small chance. No, it's a really high chance. For those who are unaware, he had some other guy who I've never heard of with him. Another guy with big biceps, who he was working out with, and they decided they were going to cheat curl, not strict curl, but cheat curl 405 together, like side by side, like a pair of butt buddies. It's always bodybuilding stuff like this. It's always, 2 dudes doing some stuff. Bodybuilders, man. Once you get a chick to help you with that, that'd have been a lot better. I would rather have seen that myself. Get you a really hot chick to help you curl. Really hot chick to spot you, work out with you. Always got to have dudes. But again, it's bodybuilding, so I guess you do. You do got to have dudes all the time. But the point is, what they did, they were going to cheat curl 405 together. Well, I don't know what sort of record or anyone thinks that is, because my understanding is that competitive curling is done strict with your back against the device and your knees locked. There's no cheating allowed. So I'm not sure what sort of unofficial or official record or whatever this was supposed to be. But the point is, this is a guy who's done heavy cheat curls before. And before we jump into why this was really dumb to do it with 2 people, let's keep in mind, this is a guy who gives fitness advice. People take his advice. Now, really heavy cheat curls are already dangerous. To cheat curl 225, which apparently he's done before, is already dangerous. You are risking a bicep tear. To cheat with a weight like that, loaded on the bicep, you're risking a bicep tear. It's not super high with only one person doing it like that, but the risk is there. Furthermore, it does nothing. It's not like cheat curls is considered a show of strength. There's already competitive curling. That's like I'm going to cheat bench press to show off. Well, there's already rules in place for competitive bench pressing to compare your strength to other people. All right, if you're not doing something that compares you to someone else, it's not an impressive feat of strength. There's got to be a rules in place so that you have an actual comparison. That's what a competition is. So he's just cheat curling. He's not strict curling. Besides, the strict curl world record is like 247, by the way. If you want to go curl and make it a show of strength, go do it in a competitive environment with calibrated plates where people know exactly how much you're lifting, where you're in controlled rules, and then there's no question as to the legitimacy of your lift. But all these guys, they want to show off and do stuff like that. And here's the thing I want people to think about. When you go do just a silly show of strength like that, people need to understand it's counterproductive to your training because, number one, big feats of strength like that do impede recovery. They do mess with your training for the next week. Everyone understand that? They also, he's not getting any growth stimulus or training stimulus from that. So if anything, it could be offsetting his actual bicep training to do it. It's absurd. It's silly. All risk, no reward. Just to show off. Now, the scary part is this is a guy who, again, is making a lot of his living by giving fitness advice to other people. But this is a person who doesn't understand anatomy or risk analysis enough in his own body. Yet other people are going to take advice from him just because he looks good, because he's got good genetics and uses a lot of drugs. Come on. But this person's giving advice, and he can't even do basic risk analysis himself with his own training. What makes you think he's qualified to give anyone else advice? You got to remember, a lot of these bodybuilders aren't where they are because they know anything about training. We've seen plenty of examples of bodybuilders who literally knew less about training than most people who've read a basic book on it. Flex Wheeler comes to mind. Remember that old interview he did? He didn't even know how many heads the deltoid is. You got to train all the heads of the deltoid, but then he couldn't even remember how many heads there were to the deltoid. Even though you're supposed to train them all, and he knew that part was important, but he couldn't remember how many there were. He was confused as if the delt had 3 or 4 heads. All right, just being a fantastic bodybuilder is not evidence that you know anything about training. There have been plenty of examples of that. Genetics and drugs. So he's given advice, and here's the even scarier part. This is a guy who's probably making pretty decent money off of his physique. His physique and his body is his meal ticket. It's his paycheck. And he decides to do something that had a very high chance tearing his bicep. He just decided to do it just because, to show off something that could technically have been career ending. Because had he gotten a grade 3 bicep tear, which I've had a grade 3 bicep tear, and you know how I got it? Being stupid. That's how I got it, being an idiot. Because when you tear a bicep, you've usually done something stupid to cause it. It's either at a competition, the heat of competition, or you've done something stupid in your training. All right, I tore mine through sheer stupidity. What he did was even tougher than what I did. Why do I say that? Well, anyone who understands anything about the human body and biomechanics should have known what he did would have tore one of their biceps. The chances of one of these two guys tearing a bicep was actually a serious risk. Not like one of those 1 in 100. No. Very high chance of one of these two guys tearing a bicep. At minimum of grade 1, I would say at least 50% chance, if not higher. Because they went up together and they cheat curled together a weight that was considerably heavier than either one of them would be capable of cheat curling on their own or lowering under any degree of control. Well, that's fine. They cheat curled and they're getting it up. What happens when it starts to come back down? You can control 2 sides of a bar yourself when you're lowering it because you're in control of both hands together. They're not as 2 separate guys. One of them is going to lower faster than the other. So if one of the guys is lowering faster, what happens to the guy on the other side? He tears a bicep. That's what happens. That's what happens. The guy who tries to lower it slower than the other guy is going to tear a bicep. It's common sense. It was stupid to even try it. Whoever thought this up, it was stupid. And he did it, risking basically his career and his income doing it. And the worst part, after he's done with it, the guy stands there and pimps a pre-workout as if a pre-workout or warming up would have helped. I'm sorry, guys. Let me let you guys in on reality. Warming up doesn't prevent tears. All right? Warming up does not prevent tears. If you're going to tear a muscle in training or in competition, your warm-up isn't going to prevent it from happening. It doesn't. Number 2, I should have had a pre-workout. So more stimulants. You think more stimulation to a muscle you just tore is the key to not tearing it? I'll go out on a limb and say that more stimulation and more aggression on a muscle tear would take it possibly to another grade of tear. You could have torn it worse because of a harder contraction, being more pumped up, more psychologically aroused. All right? And he still takes something stupid like that to use it to pimp a pre-workout. Uses it to pimp a pre-workout. The other thing, he's standing there in the comments saying, it's a grade 2, so I'm not going to have my strength back in my arm for 3 weeks. Well, then it's not a grade 2, is it? That's a grade 1. Grade 3 is what I have, where you have to have it surgically reattached. Sorry, guys, but anyone who thinks his bicep strength is going to be back in 3 weeks, back to normal after a grade 2 tear, maybe 3 months. Grade 1s take about 3 weeks. Not a grade 2. Not a grade 2. No, his bicep is going to be out of commission for a little while. Unless he wants to tear it further. Go ahead and tear it all the way to a grade 3. And you can have it reattached. I've been through that. It's a lot of fun. But here's the thing of what this ultimately comes down to. This is the sort of people out here giving workout advice who clearly, based upon their genetics and their drug abuse, have built a name for themselves. They give training advice and they can't even do the most basic of risk analysis when it comes to stuff they're going to do right there on the camera for a show of strength or whatever, and do stupid things that cause them injuries. Anyone with a basic understanding of biomechanics could have told him the risk of one of these two guys tearing a bicep was really, really high. But here's the point. Neither of these two guys know anything about biomechanics or the human body. They're thoroughbred racehorses, pumped full of drugs. That's it. They don't actually know anything about what they're doing. Or it would have been obvious before this happened that that was going to be the result. Alright guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.